Today I want to show you how to use tables in order to organize information in OpenOffice Writer. Let's go ahead and open up OpenOffice, select a text document, maximize the application, go down a couple lines, and there's a couple ways to add a table. The first way, and probably the easiest, is to just select this little table icon on your toolbar and then hit the little drop down arrow and you can select the rows and columns that you want. I'm going to go ahead and undo that by clicking the undo button right here, because I want to use the table menu item up here to insert a table. And you select table menu item and select insert, and then go over here to table, and we'll give our table a name. And then we want 3 columns and 3 rows. And the main reason I want to use the menu item is it gives me the option to add a heading, and I don't want a border. And I want to add a heading for sorting purposes, because if you sort all the items in your list and you don't indicate a heading, it will add the heading amidst your sort, so we don't want that. Alright, now we got our table inserted. I'm going to give this page a title, My Movies. And I want to center that by clicking this little center icon right here on the toolbar. And then go over here to my font selector. And I want a kind of a movie style font. Let's go to the top and come down. Yeah, Berlin Sans. That's a good one. And I want the font size to be kind of large. I'm going to do a little bit of coloring in my table here. I want my columns to kind of alternate color, so I'm going to move my arrow right over the top of this middle column. So you see that black down arrow, and click my mouse button and it'll select the whole column. And then right here in the background color, select the little down arrow, and I'm just going to do a kind of a light gray, very light gray, just enough to make it a little different from the other columns. Now the header column, which is the first one, I'm going to go ahead and move my cursor over here to the beginning of the row till you see that black arrow pointing to the right. Click my mouse button to select the whole row. Again, I'm going to go to fill, and a little bit darker on this one. Okay, good. Now I'm going to put my mouse cursor at the top left corner of the table until you see that black arrow pointing diagonally. Click the mouse button, and that selects the whole table. So I'm going to change the font for the whole table, and I'm going to press V as in Victor, go down to Verdana, select that. And I want the font size to be a little small, so I'm going to drop it from 12 down to 10 by selecting this font size down arrow here and clicking on 10. I'm going to go back to my header and move to the beginning of the row till I get the black arrow. Click that to select the whole header. And I want that font to be the same as my title font, Berlin Sans Demi. And I also want the font size to be a little bit bigger, so I'm going to go ahead and up that to 12. Now let's type in the header names. So the first one is Movies. And click on that first cell there, you can type that. I'll press the Tab key, and this will be Genre. Press the Tab key again, and Description. Okay, so we've got our table set up. I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'll just put it on my desktop. Right there. Call it My Movies. I'm going to save it in ODF text document format. It's standard open document format. Alright, so the first movie is going to be Raiders of the genre, action, adventure, description, Indiana Jones, must find Ark of the Covenant before the Nazis do. Okay, press the tab key. Next movie, let's try Fifth Element. This would be action, adventure, sci-fi. Lilu must save Earth from an evil entity with the help of X Space Green Corbin Dallas. Okay, I'm in the last column of the last row, so if I go ahead and press my tab key, it'll automatically create a new row for me. So I can type in a new movie. If I select this here, I can select it, put my mouse at the beginning and just drag till the whole cell is selected. And let me show you that again. I can put my mouse at the very beginning, right there. Hold down my mouse button and I keep dragging down. It'll start selecting cells instead of just text. And if I move my mouse over here, it'll select this whole cell. And I can right click and copy it, or I can click copy from up here, this little copy icon on the toolbar. And go down here, right click and paste, or paste from the toolbar icon right here. So that's a quick way to do that. Go over to our description cell and Captain Picard must stop a Federation conspiracy. Okay. So we have 3 movies in here. That sounds good. First thing I want to show you is you can color individual cells. Say like you have a favorite movie here. Again, like I showed you before, you select the whole cell. Just move your mouse over here to the bottom of lower left of the particular cell you want to work with until just that cell is highlighted. And you can go up here to the background color. And then let's make that one kind of light red. Now that's something you can do. I generally don't do that if I'm using a list that I have to sort a lot. I'll show you why. The next function I want to show you is sorting. Let's say I want to sort these movies alphabetically. Move the mouse up here to the upper left hand corner until you get that diagonal arrow. Click it so the whole thing's selected. And then we go up here to table, or you can click this button on the toolbar here. It says sort. And note that we have 5th element is the red cell. So let's click sort. I'm going to select the first key, which is the first column, order ascending, rows. That's good. Click OK. And it'll sort alphabetically on the first column, but since we had everything selected, it keeps them all intact, so that way your description and genre will match the first column. But you can see that the color hasn't moved with the cell information. It's still now Raiders of the Lost Ark is red instead of 5th element. So I'm going to go ahead and select this cell, and then let me show you another trick on that selecting a cell. Sometimes you have to go down till you got more than one cell selected, then pop back up till you got the only cell selected you want to work with. Anyway, I'm going to go over here to the background color and then click no fill, and it'll get rid of the color. Another thing you can do, if you want to move these columns around, you don't like where they are, say I want to put genre after description. A trick I learned is to click inside the column that you want to work with, and then go down here to column and then insert. And I want to insert afterwards just one column. Now I'm going to go up here and put my mouse arrow right above the column I want. Oops, we're working with genre, that's right. Click that so the whole column's selected, and then you drag the top column over to the top column of where you want to move it to. Don't drag it, like if you drag it down here, then everything's down here, and that's not what you want. I'm going to go ahead and do Control Z to move that back. I gotta select the column again, and then drag the first row of my original column to the first row of my new column. And you can see that everything's moved like it should. Of course, our colors are wrong. Now I've got my alternating colors. Like I said, the colors don't move with the information. So go ahead and select this. Actually, I don't need to select it. I just got to be inside the column I want to work with. And then right click, click column, and then delete. Now if I want to color this center cell correctly, I can, probably the quickest way is to just do this. Select the whole thing, like I showed you how to select a cell. You go to the upper right part, or the upper left part of the cell you want to work with. I'm going to make sure I get the whole thing here. And then drag down to, I got all the cells I want selected, so I just want this column, and then change the background to light gray. That's probably the quickest way to change the color of this particular column. Unfortunately, if you have a lot of information, it may not be practical to try to select all the cells and just leave the header cell alone. So it would probably be easier is to just select the whole column by, arrow clicking the column and then going up here and changing the color. But that'll also change the color of your header cell. Maybe that's fine, maybe it's not, but you got to go up here to your header cell and then select the darker color that you want. Oops, that's the wrong color. A little darker. There we go. Or you can just select the whole row and then change the color of the row. Okay, so we've got our table set up and we've got some information in there. You can add more information too. I can click inside this column, right click inside this column, and then do column and insert after one. A little more here. We can do length and the length of the movies. I don't know how long this is. I think this is 2 hours, 5 minutes. I know Star Trek is around 1 hour and 46 minutes. 2 hours, 10 minutes. So we have a new column there. Real easy to do. Now the other thing is I don't like all this space crammed in here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of some of this margin on the page. So I'm going to go up here to Format, Page, and right down here it's got the margins. Select all this text and do 0.25, hit Tab key, 0.25. So left and right margin are 1/4 inch. It gives me more room. Now I go up here to the header and put the mouse right between these two columns, and I can drag this over a little bit. Between these two columns, drag this over a little bit. Length can be a lot shorter. So try to give description a little more room here. Now, notice how tight it is? There isn't a lot of padding in these cells. The text just is kind of real crunched together. So I'm going to select the whole table, then click Table, Table Properties. Select the Borders tab right here, and then Spacing to Contents. Make sure Synchronized is checked. I'm just going to add a little bit of space, 1/10 of an inch maybe. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Nice spacing around each of the cells so you can see them better. Okay, then one more little trick I want to show you. Let's save our document again. I've already saved it once, so I've got a file name for it, My Movies, up here. And the other thing we can do save as. Now I'm going to save My Movies also as an HTML document. Right here, you click the Save As type, go down to HTML document, click Save. I'm going to keep current format because it likes to default to ODF format, but I want to keep the current format. I'm going to minimize this, and on my desktop I got my My Movies document, and I've also got a My Movies HTML file, as you can see. And if I double click that, it doesn't really have a default, but I'm just going to use Microsoft Edge for now. And you can see My Movies is available to view in your web browser. You just pop it open, you can take a quick peek at your My Movies document without having to open Writer. As long as you got an HTML version of your file, you can do this. Let's go over here and let's shrink the table down a little bit. Just like that. That's good. Now you see how it's aligned to the left. I'm gonna go ahead and save it. Okay, it's being saved as an HTML file, so I'm gonna go ahead and open this up. Yeah, there we go. This is what I wanted to show you. See how it's aligned like this? Probably not what you want. Couple ways to fix this. First one is to click in the table, go up here to Table, and then Table Properties, and click the Table tab right here, and then we want to align it center. Okay. Go ahead and save it. I'm going to use the Save icon here on the toolbar. Minimize it. Open this again. Now everything's centered. Looks good too. Now if you don't like this and you want to go ahead and stretch your page across the whole screen like we had earlier, then you can fix your table. Click inside your table and go up here to Table. Just another quick pointer. You can go to if your table toolbar is open here, because mine's floating, it's not attached to the menu bar up here. If your table toolbar is open, you can get the table properties from this little icon right here. So I'll go ahead and click that. Now since I resized my table, instead of saying 8 inches, I'm going to go ahead and click on the relative checkbox here, and it's going to say the width is 98%, and I'm going to change that to 100. Click OK. Now it's the width of my page. Go ahead and save my document. Open up our new HTML file. And now you can see it stretches across the whole screen. It'll fill the screen that way. So that's if you want it to do that. If you don't want it to do that, then you just grab the edge of the table and drag it in a little bit. Of course, when you do that, you got to go back up to your table properties. And you can see it switched to left alignment, and I want to center it again. And that's under the Table tab and Table Properties. Click OK. Now we've got it centered. Save it again. Open it up again, and now this is approximately 8 inches, just under 8 inches, and this is how a browser sees 8 inches, at least as far as a word processing document is concerned. So I've been saving this in HTML format, which is probably not the best format to save in if you want to continue to edit this document later. So I'm going to go ahead and save it in ODF format. So change this file type back to ODF text document. Save. Yes, I want to replace it. So if I close Writer, and this is a My Movies document here, this is set to open up in Word. And I'm going to go ahead and choose another app and OpenOffice Writer. And then always use this app to open ODT files. So I prefer having ODT associated with OpenOffice and Doc associated with Microsoft Word. Doc or DocX, depending on what version of Word you're using or how you like to save your files. So now I've got this associated with OpenOffice. So it'll open up in OpenOffice, and if I want to add a new movie, you can insert a row. Let's see, what's a good one? I know, I'm going to go right here to Raiders, and right click inside the cell here and do row, insert, one. Oops, I did that wrong. Let me undo that real quick. Right click, row, insert, before. All right, because I could sort this if I want, but since I know the name of the movie and where it's supposed to go, I'm going to go ahead and insert where it's supposed to go. So, Hunt for Red October. Q. Description. Let's see. Captain. A top secret. Russian submarine tries to defect to the United States. Action, adventure. I don't remember how long this was. I don't think it was quite, I'm just going to do 2 hours. I don't think it was quite 2 hours, but okay, that's good. So I got my movie list here. I'm already in ODT format, so I'm going to just hit the save icon. And we can do print preview too. Hit the little page preview icon here, or you can go under File and hit page preview. And you can see what it'll look like when you print it out. So this will print just fine on a black and white laser or color printer. And if I want to, I want to send a friend a copy of my file and do export as PDF. Well, let me show you that real quick. File, export as PDF. It's right there, and I think you can do it from this little icon right here. Yeah, it's next to the printer icon. Click on that. And My Movies, it's already got PDF selected. So save. All right, minimize this, and now I've got 3 documents. Let me put them all together. This is my HTML formatted document. This is my regular ODT OpenOffice format, and then here's the new PDF I just created. Double click that, and this is Adobe Acrobat Reader, and there we go. And one other little thing I want to show you while I remember. I'm going to go ahead and select the whole table. And, oh, it's right here on the floating table menu. That's right. Because what I'd done in another version is I'd actually moved the table onto the toolbar by just dragging it over here till you see that rectangle. It tells you where you want to put it. So I'm going to go ahead and put it here. Yeah, just so it's out of the way of the document. And as handy as this is, I really don't use it because I prefer having the space. So I'm going to close it by clicking that little X I just clicked up there in the upper right corner of that properties window. Okay, so I've got the whole table selected, and I'm going to select the line type, which is kind of thin. And then right here, that's the line style right there. Just click that down arrow, click the smallest, thinnest line, and go over here. And I want lines between, not lines everywhere, just lines between. So you can see right here, it has shows you line, just a horizontal line between each row. If I select one of these, it'll put a line like right here. This one will put a line on the bottom of the entire selection, but I want one line between each row. So I'm going to click this here. And then I'm going to select the first row by arrow selecting it on the edge here. And I'm going to make a much thicker line, a real thick one. This is probably good. So you can see that's thicker, but I don't like the one on the top. So I'm going to select that row again. And this time, if I want to change specific lines around my selection, I can't use this here. I have to go to the table properties, which is this button right here, and go to Borders tab. And then right here you get this little user defined setup, and I'm going to click. You don't want to click right here because it'll put a line in the center, so I'm going to keep clicking until the whole thing just disappears. I want it gone, that's why I kept clicking it until it just disappears. And I just have the line on the bottom, which is what I want. Click OK. Alright, looks good. Let's do a preview. Yeah. Go ahead and save it. I'm in ODT format, so click the save icon. And there I have my movies list, and I can just pop that open and add to my movies whenever I get a new one or want to see what I have or share what I have. Yeah, sharing PDF is great for sharing. You can export it to a PDF and then email it to a friend, and they can use you as a private blockbuster. Something else I wanted to mention, I almost forgot to mention actually. If you want more space, like obviously there's plenty of room going down the page, it'll just go from one page to the next. And I also forgot to point out, when you're creating a table, go here, this repeat heading feature is a per page item. In other words, if you have the repeat option checked, then as you go from one page to the next, this header will be duplicated on each page. And if you don't want that, then just uncheck the repeat option. Also, if you want more space width-wise, so you can add more columns, you can go up here to Format, Page, and then change your orientation to Landscape. Click OK, and you have more room here. I'm going to go ahead and widen my table. Table Properties, Table, Relative, 100%. Okay. There. Now we got some more room. You can add, like you can add a new column. I'll right click this column, column, insert, before. We'll call this actors. And you can put your actors in here. Okay. Yeah, so that's how you can create some more space, if you want to add more columns. And that's how you use tables to organize information in OpenOffice Writer. That's it for this video. Give it a thumbs up if it helped you out. Click subscribe if you want to see more. Also, make sure you check out the website, www.the-nerdcave.com, and tell your friends about me. I'd love to hear from them. Thanks for watching and have a great day.